Think your 9 to 5 is bad? Imagine working waist-deep in sewage, or lighting dynamite next to your own face. Today, we're digging into the most dangerous jobs in history. Real people, real pain, and jobs so sketchy they make office space look like a vacation. We're talking about the kind of work that'd make OSHA spontaneously combust. Jobs where a bad day didn't mean a paper jam or a boring meeting. It meant getting crushed, blown up, or slowly poisoned. So buckle up, Buttercup, because we're about to take a wild ride through history's dirtiest, deadliest, and most downright unbelievable occupations. You think you have it rough? Just wait. You think cleaning your oven is a drag? Imagine being a kid, maybe 6 years old, and getting shoved up a chimney. Not a nice, clean, modern one either. I'm talking about the brick and soot chimneys of Victorian England. These kids were called climbing boys, and their job was to squeeze into these tight, dark spaces and scrub out the soot with their bare hands. No helmets, no masks, just soot, dust, and the constant risk of getting stuck or falling to their deaths. Can you imagine the claustrophobia, the darkness? Now imagine breathing in that soot all day long. It wasn't just dirty, it was deadly. These kids were breathing in a cocktail of carcinogens that would make a modern-day hazmat team faint. And the worst part? This wasn't some rare, isolated thing. Chimney sweeping was a massive industry, and these kids were considered disposable. They were orphans, sold off by their families, or simply snatched off the streets. Their lives were cheap, and their deaths were even cheaper. So next time you're complaining about cleaning out your fireplace, spare a thought for the climbing boys. They had it rough. We take matches for granted, right? Strike flame, done. But back in the 1800s, making matches was a one-way ticket to a gruesome death. See, those early matches used white phosphorus. And let me tell you, that stuff is nasty. The women who worked in these factories, they didn't have fancy respirators or hazmat suits. They were breathing in phosphorus fumes all day long, and guess what? It literally made their jaws rot away. Imagine that. You go to work, you do your job, and slowly, your bones start glowing, then your teeth fall out, then your jaw literally disintegrates. They called it phossy jaw. These women were literally sacrificing their lives just to make a few pennies a day. The worst part? The factory owners knew about the dangers. They just didn't care. Profits over people, right? So next time you strike a match, think about those women and the price they paid. It's a reminder that even the simplest things can have a dark side. We've all seen the movies, right? Knights in shining armor charging into battle, looking all heroic. Well, let me tell you, the reality was a lot less glamorous and a lot more sweaty. First off, those suits of armor were heavy. We're talking about 60, 80, sometimes even 100 pounds of metal strapped to your body. Imagine trying to run, fight, or even just climb onto your horse in that getup. And speaking of horses, falling off was a constant occupational hazard, and when you fell, you didn't just get back up. You were basically a turtle flipped on its back, helpless until someone came to hoist you up like a sack of potatoes. And if you were captured, well, that armor that was supposed to protect you, it became your prison. Enemies could hold you for ransom, torture you, all while you were trapped inside your own metal coffin. So, yeah, knights might look cool in the movies, but in real life they were basically walking, talking ovens of pain. Think scuba diving is dangerous? Try doing it in a suit that looks like a fishbowl bolted to a boiler. That's what sponge divers were dealing with back in the day. These guys would descend to the ocean floor with these primitive diving suits connected to the surface by a single hose. And I'm not talking about some fancy modern hose with a regulator. This was basically a garden hose pumping air down to them. One wrong move, one kink in the hose, and boom, you're looking at decompression sickness, aka the bends. That's when nitrogen bubbles form in your blood, causing excruciating pain, paralysis, and sometimes even death. And what were they risking their lives for? Sponges. Not even the cool rectangular ones you use in the shower. We're talking about the kind that grow on the ocean floor, covered in slime and God knows what else. So next time you're using a natural sponge, take a moment to appreciate the guys who risked their lives to get it for you. They were tough, they were desperate, and they were probably a little bit crazy. Building the Transcontinental Railroad. Sounds romantic, right? Manifest destiny, connecting the nation, all that jazz. Well, for the guys who actually built it, it was more like a nightmare fueled by sweat, dynamite, and exploitation. We're talking about backbreaking labor, 12 to 16 hours a day, blasting through mountains, laying down tracks, all for pennies a day. And safety regulations, what safety regulations? These guys were mostly immigrants, Chinese and Irish, treated like disposable cogs in the machine. Cave-ins were common. Explosions happened with terrifying regularity. And if you got hurt, well, there was always another desperate soul waiting to take your place. These weren't just workers, they were pioneers of a different sort. Pioneers of hardship, of grit, of the kind of determination that most of us can't even fathom. You You think your job stinks? Try being a tosher in 19th century London. These guys were the original garbage men, except they didn't have trucks or landfills. Their office was the sewer. That's right, these brave souls would wade through raw sewage, knee-deep in filth and who knows what else, looking for anything of value. We're talking coins, buttons, scraps of metal, anything they could sell to eke out a living. Imagine the smell. Imagine the rats. Imagine the diseases these guys were exposed to on a daily basis. Cholera, typhoid, dysentery, you name it, they probably had it. And if the diseases didn't get you, the explosions might. Sewer gas buildup was a constant threat, turning the tunnels into underground bombs waiting to go off. So next time you're complaining about taking out the trash, think about the toshers. They had the dirtiest job in history, and they did it without gloves, masks, or even a whimper. We all love a good fireworks show, right? The explosions, the colors, the oohs and ahs. But have you ever stopped to think about the people who actually make those things? Back in the day, fireworks weren't made in some high-tech factory with safety protocols and robots. They were made by hand, in small, cramped workshops using gunpowder and other highly volatile materials. One spark, one mistake, and boom, the whole place could go up in flames. And it did, a lot. These guys were literally playing with fire every day, and they paid the price. Burns were common. Missing fingers were practically a job requirement. And every now and then, a whole factory would explode, taking dozens of lives with it. So next time you're enjoying a fireworks display, spare a thought for the men and women who risked their lives to create that spectacle. They were the original pyrotechnic daredevils, and their jobs were anything but glamorous. Imagine being trapped underground, surrounded by tons of rock, with the enemy just a few feet away. That was the reality for tunnel miners, especially during wartime. These guys were the unsung heroes of trench warfare, digging tunnels under enemy lines to plant explosives or to launch surprise attacks. It was dangerous, claustrophobic work, and the stakes couldn't have been higher. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and the whole tunnel could collapse, burying you alive. Or worse, the enemy could hear you digging and detonate their own explosives, sending you to kingdom come. And if you did manage to make it out alive, there was no guarantee you wouldn't be shot, gassed, or blown to smithereens above ground. Talk about a bad day at the office, right? Ever dreamed of riding an elephant? Sounds majestic, right? Well, for Mahouts, the trainers and riders of elephants, especially in Asia, it was a job that demanded respect, trust, and a whole lot of guts. These guys formed incredibly close bonds with their elephants, often working with them from a young age. But even the most well-trained elephant could be unpredictable. One wrong move, one misinterpretation of a command, and the Mahout could find himself on the wrong end of a several-ton temper tantrum. And if you think that's scary, imagine riding an elephant into battle. That's right, some Mahouts were warriors, using their elephants as living, breathing tanks. No seatbelts, no airbags, just you and your elephant against the world. Talk about a wild ride. From glowing jaws to cannon fodder kids, these jobs weren't just risky. They were survival on hard mode. So if you're feeling tired of your office job, just be glad your desk doesn't explode or catch fire. If you liked this video, smash that like button, subscribe for more weird history, and drop a comment. Which of these jobs could you survive for one day? Or better yet, got one we missed? Let me know. If you thought this video was wild, hit that like button, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. What's the worst job you could never do? Stay curious and stay safe out there.